Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about all things asexual, asexuality, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm Sandra Bellamy, author of Asexual Perspectives, founder of asexualise.com and founder of Asexualise Academy. And in today's episode, I want to talk to you about something that's absolutely hilarious. Hello, Michael. Nice to see you. Hello, Andy. Lovely to see you. As always, as we go through this video, if you want to give it a thumbs up as we go along, if you're enjoying the content, that would be fabulous, and share it with any friends or whoever may benefit. So, I have to say that something really hilarious happened today, and it had me in stitches. But before that, something else happened, which I found quite amusing anyway, because I'm like, here we go again. So it's quite funny. So this morning I looked at my phone and I had a friend's request, and it's from a guy who I didn't know. So I've got the messages in front of me that I'm going to read out from Facebook Messenger. And so this guy friend requested me, and I have no idea who he is, right? But he lives in the UK. It's possible for me to get to him on the train, an hour and a half train journey. So he's not that far away. And he wasn't bad looking to say he was a little bit older than me in birth certificate age. And he kind of had a little bit of a foreign look about him. And anyway, so I thought, I don't know why this person is obviously messaging me, because I don't know who he is, right? So it was just so funny. So I put, hi, blah, blah, blah. You sent me a friend's request. How do we know each other, please? So he put, I just noticed you come up on the suggestion list, and well, I liked your pick, right? This is a very, very common chat-up line by many people who use Facebook for dating and that. And then he put, how come you're single, and would you like to find yourself a decent guy? But instead of putting normal English, he keeps putting like and as in N, and would you as in the word you. And instead of yourself, he misses off the word Y-O. So it's U-R-S-E-L-F. So that always makes me laugh, this type of language anyway, because it's like, can't you even be bothered to talk? Do you know what I mean? Can't you speak properly? And I put, I am single because I'm asexual, not heterosexual. So I never have the need, urge, or want for sex. However, aesthetically attractive I find him. So I'm waiting until I find the right asexual guy, or stay single forever. I also do not want marriage or kids. Right? Which you would have thought a sensible person would have either discussed that with me, if he was interested in me, seriously interested, or he would have just left the conversation, right? No, he goes, so will you be interested in getting to know me? And that was the first thing that I thought was really funny, because I know it's no laughing matter, really, the amount of people, guys, well, I get attracted to guys, so I know a lot of guys do. So it's not very funny, really, but it's funny in the way it's like the same old spiel. It's like, can you please not say anything? I mean, it's like, can you please, have you got nothing original to say? Is it all the same churned out old stuff over and over again? I mean, it's a classic when they say, I went on Facebook, oh, I don't know you, but I like your pic. You know, it's just a classic chat-up line. So anyway, the fact that he was continuing the conversation saying, so will you be interested in getting to know me? Well, I just found that quite hilarious in itself, because I thought it was so funny. I thought, how can you... You know, have you just not paid any attention to anything I've said? Are you so blindfolded, or whatever it's called, you know, blindsighted, or whatever it's called, you know, just to not even be bothered to talk to me properly? So all I put is, you are heterosexual, so best suited to a girl who can satisfy your sexual appetite. And there are tons of women out there like that. I'm a highly prolific asexual girl, and put out to the world about my asexuality, which is my sexual orientation. It's who I am, and I love it. And then he didn't bother replying after that. So I went and saw if his friend's request was still on there, or if he'd actually decided to delete it. but it seemed to me that it was still on there. So I just thought that was quite funny. But the thing that I found most hilarious, right, is I phoned my mum up, right? So I was telling her, because I get chatted up by a lot of sexual guys, quite a lot. I get approached by loads of guys. Obviously, I get approached by asexual guys who a lot of the time don't end up being asexual, or they tend to be on the very sexual end of the spectrum. But I do get a lot of sexuals approach me, as you know. And so I'm used to the drill. It would be nice if I had an actual asexual guy in this country wanting a relationship with me and being romantically interested in me. But so far, I haven't actually found that person. So, yeah. Anyway, I can live in hope, can't I? Never mind. And so I phoned my mum up and I told her, I said, oh, I had a guy approaching me on Facebook. And she's like, oh, yeah. I said, I didn't approach him. He approached me, Mum. And I started saying stuff and I said, oh, he's heterosexual. And my mum just turned around to me and said, what's that? And I just went up I just couldn't stop laughing. My own mother forgot what heterosexuality was because I talk so much about asexuality. And I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. I'm like, Mum, you do know what heterosexual is, don't you? It's what normal people are meant to be. And I just laughed and I said at the end, I hope one day the whole world is exactly like that. What is heterosexuality? Because I hope in years to come, or sooner, rather than later, next year would be great, or tomorrow, or today, that heterosexuality being the normal is a thing of the past, and that people are more curious and open-minded and can actually embrace asexuality and the different sexualities. And so when people say what's heterosexuality, it actually becomes less common and people have to find out what that is because it's not the normal. So I just thought it was hilarious because it's my own mum saying it, and she seemed to have completely forgotten what heterosexuality and what heterosexual was. And she isn't asexual. And I was like, and then in the end she goes, oh, what, you mean someone who's straight? And I'm like, yes, actually I do class myself as a straight asexual because I'm heteromantic. But I just said, yes, Mum, someone who's straight. And she goes, oh, the thing is you talk about so many different guys. I get lost and confused with who you're talking about. I said, it's okay, Mum. I think what you said was absolutely hilarious. I'm going to mention it on YouTube live stream I do because I think people will find it funny. I said, I really hope one day the world is like that. The world actually says, what is heterosexuality? Because it becomes not normal, not the majority. Or, there's so many different people with so many different orientations that people just really are not used to hearing it as much. I just thought it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. Even after I went off the phone, I was thinking that's one of the most funny things I've ever heard someone say is, what is heterosexuality? And my mum is heterosexual. It's just hilarious. I just found it so funny. So I was having hilarious moments with the actual guy because I agree, I don't understand heterosexuality. Well, because hi, Andy, it's really nice to hear from you. Yeah, I mean, because I've been in heterosexual relationships for half my life, because I experience arousal even though I don't experience the sexual attraction, because I love kissing so much, I do understand heterosexuality. Are we sure she knew heterosexual meant straight rather than forget? No, she didn't know what heterosexual meant. My mum's heterosexual. She forgot what heterosexual was because I talk so much about asexuality. Because literally, I'm not shy about asexuality. I live and breathe it every time you have a conversation with my mum, which is practically nearly every day. I'm usually always talking about something. What I'm saying is, are we sure she even knew? Yes, she knows what heterosexual is, Michael. She's heterosexual, so is my dad. Because they made a joke about it a long time ago, going, good job we're not asexual, isn't it? Because if we were, then you wouldn't have been born. And my dad wanted me to design a t-shirt he thought would be funny, saying, oh, my daughter's asexual, good job I'm not. Because obviously I wouldn't be here. I mean, obviously there's different forms of you don't have to have sexual intercourse now to have a baby, but it was meant to be a mainstream joke, right? They knew they're straight, but maybe they've never heard the word heterosexual. No, they knew they're heterosexual. I've never heard my mum actually say the word straight before, to be quite honest with you, so that was weird for me. I mean, my parents know they're heterosexual because they know heterosexuals are normal. They know homosexual as well because round from the corner, I've been brought up by my parents that homosexual's fine because we had two gay neighbours. So they lived not next door, but the one after. And don't forget, I was brought up to believe I was heterosexual by my parents, and society. I was brought up to believe I was heterosexual. I didn't know any different. So I don't think parents really go around saying I'm heterosexual, but obviously they go around, it's pretty, I don't think parents I don't think anyone in the general realm of the world goes around saying what sexuality they are, unless there's someone like me who is basically fighting a cause and who is basically actively seeking representation in the world, is basically trying to change the world. Do you know what I mean? I think obviously LGBT, a lot of them are outspoken because they are in a minority and they feel they need to speak up. But heterosexuals as a general rule don't go around going, hi, I'm heterosexual, hi, I'm heterosexual, hi, I'm heterosexual, because people know that everyone's usually heterosexual unless there's something else. I actually was quite shocked at my mum using the word straight because I've never actually really heard her. I've heard her use, I've never really heard her say that before, but yeah, I guess I found it a bit weird because I'm thinking, well, you're saying, Mum, I'm not straight, because I've always classed myself as a straight asexual, but it confuses people if I say the word straight asexual because they don't know what it means, which is because I'm hetero, so I'm only attracted to the opposite gender, basically opposite sex. So that to me is like, so a lot of the time, have you ever heard her use the word heterosexual before then? I don't think I've heard anyone in my whole people that I know use the word heterosexual, because people don't go around saying I'm heterosexual unless I ask them. Do you know what I mean? I don't go say to my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, are you heterosexual? I don't. Of course she knows what heterosexual is, Michael. Everyone knows what heterosexual is. I've been brought up to know what heterosexual is, because thought I was. I'm not. I'm a asexual. My mum watches loads of TV. She doesn't know what heterosexual is. My mum knows what homosexual is. Do you know what I mean? So she must have said what heterosexual is if she was telling me about what homosexual is, mustn't she? So, but my parents don't talk about sex, Michael. You have to understand that in my upbringing, my parents didn't talk about sex. They're very conservative. They act more asexual than I do, but they've told me they are definitely not asexual. Both of them have told me that. So, but they're very conservative. They don't kiss hardly ever in front of me in my entire life, or hug. They're not even huggy people. They hardly touch each other. Even like on the shoulder and stuff, they don't even do that very much, you wouldn't even know, but they've been married 50 years next year, 50 years, so I've been brought up, I was told by my mum, your school will deal with your sexual education, you will learn from them, that's it. So it was, that's quite horrible. I couldn't talk to I speak to my mum about sex now on the phone because I talk about asexuality. And a lot of the time, my mum's getting a bit more used to it now after, 4 years. But usually, she changes the subject. It's like she's embarrassed to talk about sex stuff. She can't, deal with it. She go, usually she's just got better probably in the last few months. But usually she'll be like, yeah, you must be busy. All right, I'll leave you to it. She'll get off the phone really quickly because it makes her uncomfortable, I think. I even think it makes my dad uncomfortable because he's mentioned it. He's going, oh, that's enough now. I don't need to hear about that. But I'll still carry on about asexuality. I just carry on talking about it because it's part of who I am. I'm not changing who I am for anyone, and I will continue to say it. But I know I've had conversation with my parents about I think was the gay guys. I said, so if they're homosexual, then I think I said them I'm heterosexual, then am I? I think something like that happened years ago. Well, heterosexual has always been the normal sexuality, hasn't it? So that's what I was brought up, to believe. But my mum never talked about sex. But I honestly think my mum just forgot, because I talk so much about asexuality. It's just really funny, I mean, I have fibromyalgia, and that can make you forget things. Even in conversations, you can get something called fibrofog, which I don't really like talking about, and I don't tend to get it that much, which it can actually make you not process things in your brain quite quick enough. So when someone says something that's average everyday stuff, you can actually forget it. I have a friend who worked as a nurse in a hospital for 25 years. She had fibromyalgia, she was doing an operation, then all of a sudden forgot what she was doing. That's how bad fibromyalgia can be. I don't really talk about these things, but my mum has quite a few illnesses which can give her like brain fog a little bit sometimes, like I can get. So from that point of view, that's not very funny. But I honestly just think, like, she's so used to me talking about asexuality, and also she gets confused with it, because every time I phone up and say, oh, this guy's speaking to me, this guy fancies me, this guy I'm talking to on this app. I mean, my mum doesn't even use the internet. She is old school. She never goes on the internet. She doesn't have Facebook. She doesn't know how to use the internet. My dad's on the internet, but my mum isn't. She never uses the internet. She doesn't have access to it. She's not even got a mobile phone herself. My dad has one that he takes to his my dad runs a non-profit, so he takes it there and uses it for emergencies, usually a mobile. He doesn't have internet on his phone, he does at home. So my mum's like doesn't want to know about the internet. She has nothing to do with it. She's very old school like that. My parents are like very traditional older school people, they're very traditional older. Actually, they look young for their age, but they're old school. Do you know what I mean? They're very traditional, very, my parents are the opposite to me. My mum's in the housewife. My dad goes out to work. Well, my dad's retired now, but he started up a non-profit, like in his early 70s again. He started up a non-profit. A crazy guy, but I love him to bits. And he's like, he's doing his non-profit stuff. He does blacksmithing courses. And he's doing that like practically pretty much every week, sometimes 3 days a week. One week this year, I think he did 6 days, My dad is like that. We use my email address for things, and then he asked me to check for his emails. Hi, Heather. Nice to see you. Yeah, so my parents are very old. So my parents didn't discuss sex when I was a little kid, right? It was always left to school, and the only education I had at school was literally, I think I've mentioned this on a previous video, but it was literally one video in oh yeah, my dad doesn't mind computers because he runs his business through he's got a website for his business, like a non-profit, but my mum hates it. So but my mum and dad, they don't openly talk about sex. They never wanted to discuss that with me. Therefore, when I even bring up asexuality and start talking about stuff now, they're more uncomfortable with it, to be honest. They don't really, my dad doesn't, sometimes my dad just says, I don't want to know, Sandra, just like change the subject, or I just don't want to know, I carry on regardless, usually being me. I'm just like, if I want to say something, I'll say it. I'm very outspoken, and I just be me, not everyone likes it. Not even my dad and mum like it sometimes, but I'm just like, whatever. I'm just being me. I don't care. I'm doing what I want, and that's the end of it. So, but it's like, that they're in, like, it's, I think my mum's only just become comfortable with me even, in the last few months, with me even going on about asexuality that much. She's starting to, like, I think because I'm talking about it so much now, it's kind of got a bit used to it. But yeah, she said I honestly forgot because I didn't, she said, I can't keep track of all the guys that you talk to, because I talk to guys, but I've got 3 really good guy friends, one of which is watching this live stream. So I talk about my asexual guy friends quite a lot, and then obviously I get approached on, I go on asexual dating sites, I'm on ASAP, so like, and I've got guys that approach me quite a lot in all types of things. Sometimes I have them on Twitter, sometimes I have them email me, sometimes I have them on Facebook, and I get a lot of messages, and some of them are from heterosexual guys. Some people watch these videos and they're not even asexual, and they message me, because it's like, I'm the face of asexuality, but they still talk to me even though I'm not heterosexual, and they are, you know, they're not asexual, they still message me sometimes in private message. Sometimes it's just to talk to me, and other times it's because they fancy me and they'll tell me so. So, you know, it's kind of like when I'm talking to my mum, because I'm not a shy person with my parents. Like, I just talk about anything I want pretty much most of the time. There's a few intimate stuff I don't talk about with my parents, but you know, like, I don't talk about directly any sort of sexual stuff and stuff like that, but you know, that happened in the past. I don't really talk too much about that to my parents, but I do, you know, I do speak to my parents about you know, the different guys that approach me and stuff. But, you know, so when I said this guy approached me and she was like, oh, I get confused about, you know, I get confused about all these different guys you're talking about. So my mum does get confused, I know that. So she kind of like, because I kind of sometimes mention 3 different things at once as well. But yeah, so it's just like, I just found it anyway. The whole point of this video is I just had a hilarious moment, and you know, I've had quite a lot of stuff going on in my life at the moment. So my friend's still in hospital, my best friend, and I'm seeing her every day in hospital. So it's quite nice to just have these moments of things that are quite hilarious, you know. Sorry if there's a lag on this. I really don't. I know the weather's quite bad in the UK at the moment, so I'm sorry. Your Wi-Fi is not great anyway. But I just wanted to say hilarious moments, because I think we have to sort of embrace these funny scenarios. And also, I just thought it's so amazing. Just imagine an actual world in the future where people were going, what is heterosexuality, you know? And I did, to be honest, I had these 2 friends in my old job, right? They were the only 2 people who ever had a problem with my asexuality, right? One of whom was gay, he was a guy, and the other was one person I used to work with. So she knew me before my old job, she knew me in another job. And those 2 people, they couldn't hack me being asexual. They couldn't believe me. They weren't having a bar of it. They weren't particularly, the gay guy wasn't particularly great. We fell out quite a bit over it because I used to be quite close to him as a friend before. And the other person, you know, she's known me before in a previous job, and she, because I like guys a lot, which I do aesthetically and stuff, she wasn't getting it. She goes, oh, you're always talking about guys. I said, yes, because I'm interested in guys and I'm really romantic. I'm a hyper romantic, but I'm not interested in having sex with them. And she didn't believe me. So to cut a long story short, about a year later, she finally started laughing to me, saying, oh, she goes, you got gay, and then you got asexuality. She goes, oh, what about heterosexuality? And she was trying to like turn the tables around as a joke, saying, it's so funny now because you talk about asexuality all the time. There's got her, this guy, this was, the gay guy was friends with her as well as me, actually. So we're all kind of friends together anyway. And the gay guy, and she was on about, oh, and then there's gays all the time. She's going, what about heterosexuals? I feel like we're starting to miss out now, you know, because there's all these different sexualities and heterosexuality is getting less. And it was kind of a joke, but it was a light-hearted, meant quite funnily. But I just, you know, I just sometimes think, just imagine what the world would be like if heterosexuality miss out on what? It's a joke, Michael. She's turning the table. So instead of asexuals missing out on sex and gays missing out on opposite gender sex, she's on about, oh, heterosexuals are missing out now because they're in a minority. They're not, but she was turning the tables around because there was an asexual in front of her and a homosexual in front of her, and she was the only heterosexual, so she was kind of feeling left out. But it was a joke. It was all a joke. I get the joke. Yeah. Sorry, Michael, I don't think you're getting the joke, right? So she's kind of saying she's missing out on life now, or, you know, missing out in general because she is the odd one out. That's what she's trying to say. She is a heterosexual, is the odd one out. In the great scheme of the world, she's not, but it was just a joke. It's a funny juxtaposition joke, right? So it's turning the tables around. So it's like an ironic thing. Like, she was like, oh, you know, I feel like, you know, she's missing out because she's not asexual. She's not homosexual. She's sexual. So, like, she's missing a trick. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it to you. You know? Oh, you get it, Heather. Thank you. Like, I was hoping. I'm really sorry if I'm not explaining myself well, Michael. I thought it was, but maybe it's because I was there in the situation and I'm really clear in my head and I'm thinking it's obvious, but maybe it's not to you because you weren't there in the situation, so it's really difficult and you didn't know the two people. I mean, I was friends with them for a long time and this was a table we were sat on in work and there was just the heterosexual and there was the gay and me, so she's the odd one out in that triangle, and that's what she was trying to say. She's like, what am I missing out on? Because obviously, you know, it's like, oh my god type thing. It's just you know, like the heterosexuals are missing out now because you know, there's only one of them. That's what she was trying to say. It's just supposed to be an ironic joke, and I just thought it was nice because then I knew she accepted me and the gay guy seemed to accept me around the same time. So I just thought it was really nice that she's trying to make a light heart of it now, trying to turn it around, saying, yeah, she was switching the table. Exactly. So whereas we're normally a minority and the heterosexuals are like, oh, you're missing out. You are, because you're missing out on the sex and you're missing out on, you know, like everything that goes with sex, and you're missing out on life because you're not having sex. She was trying to say that about herself, like, what am I missing out on because I'm heterosexual and you two aren't, so obviously I'm in a minority now. That's what she was trying to say, and that's exactly right, Heather. It was turning the tables the opposite way around, and I just thought it just made me smile. It was a nice way that she was trying to tell me that I accept you now, Sandra, that, you know, I accept your asexuality, I accept she always accepted he was gay because he's still sexually attracted to people. She's always been his friend and she didn't mind that, and although he was gay, he used to touch her up and all sorts of stuff, but she didn't mind it. She just thought it's funny. I'm not into that. I don't think that's appropriate. But, you know, even though he's gay, he's still obviously touchy with women as well. Some gay guys are like that. It's really weird. I'm happy the story ends with them accepting you in the end. Yeah, exactly, Michael. Yeah. So that's what was so good. And I just thought, you know, and I just like tonight, I wanted to share with you hilarious moments. One is like, it's a typical bloke again on Facebook. Yes, part of me did kind of think maybe I should accept his friend's request. Be great to have a date, even if it was with a heterosexual, because he lives not that far from me and I could get into the dating game again. But, you know, then the other part of me is just like, what's even the point? Because he's going to want sex. That's what his game is. That's why he's on Facebook chatting to a stranger. And that, you know, and saying they like the pic, that's a complete chat like they always use. As it happens, this guy that did friend request me and asked me about, do I want a decent guy and why am I still single on Facebook? I went through his Facebook profile. He didn't have scantily clad women. And his Facebook friends were men and women. Now, usually a guy who's really sexual, which I get them a lot of, bear in mind, they've got scantily clad women on their Facebook, or make jokes about being in bed with women, that type of thing, or they've got nearly all their Facebook friends are women, most of which are not very, you know, like are quite scantily clad. So he was quite good, and he hasn't got that many friends. It's like 65 friends or something. But I did notice he said a few posts back that he got hacked in November and this is his new account, so I don't know how many people he would have had on his other account. I'm so sorry about the lag because I can see it quite a bit tonight. I'm really sorry about that. So yeah, so that was refreshing because I thought actually he doesn't look sexual as much as the other people that usually message me, because he's actually got a decent Facebook profile. Really bad storms here tonight and just had a power cut, so have missed a bit. Oh, hi, Andy. Thank you for letting me know. Andy also lives in the UK, if you're watching this, people. So I haven't had a power cut, thank God, but because I live in the UK, as you know, as well, Andy. But my Wi-Fi is really bad at the moment, so I keep it looks like it's interfering, so I keep having a lag on this. So you know, like, I'm sorry, I'm talking and then my mouth's going lagging again. So yeah, you'll probably have to watch the video back, because to recap, obviously I had the guy firstly on Facebook that was using the same old chat up lines that I found quite funny. It's not funny, but it becomes funny after a while because it's the same old thing. Do you know what I mean? It's just like when someone repeats the exact same thing like a parrot over and over again, it's just a different person. It just becomes like extremely silly. Do you know what I mean? It's just funny because it's silly. It's just like, here we go again. And then when I said I'm asexual and I talking about it, and okay, Andy, yeah, I'll recap quickly anyway. So when I said about talking about it, oh, I've lost my train of thought now. You know, when I'm recapping and saying that you know, when I said about asexuality and what I was, and that, you know, you would have thought by then he would have got the hint, but no, it's like, oh, do you want to still get to know me then? So that was hilarious. And then the fact that my mum couldn't remember what heterosexuality was. Like, what's that? That was what was really hilarious to me, because I just never heard a person say that like that before, and they just completely had a mind blank. And I just thought it was so funny, because I so much talk about asexuality, for them to just forget that, because I just swamped their brains with asexuality all the time, was quite funny. And then obviously I went into discussing the other things, which you can watch on the replay. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. Just remember to keep laughing. You've got to take from this as well, in this video, that obviously life has been a little bit difficult for me lately. My best friend is in hospital, so any things that I found hilarious are really good. So if in life you are struggling in any way, and you are having bad luck, or bad things happen, or things not go right, I just want you to see the humour in the small things in life, you know. And that's what I wanted this video to be about as well. The fact that I found what I found hilarious. I just love it if in future the world was like, what is heterosexuality? Because we're so many different sexualities that, you know, it's not just the mainstream norm anymore. I think that would be really refreshing. And also, you know, I think it's good if you can find humour in things like that. It's not like, some people might not find what I find hilarious. Some people might not find that very funny, but I did. Thank you. Thanks for the thumbs up. Anyone else who gives me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. It's really good. So, you know, you have to, when things aren't going great in your life, you have to take the small moments like this in the moment and just think, that's really funny. Because, you know, like, someone's either being very, like, doing the same thing over and over again, like a parrot. And then that was really hilarious. And my mum saying that when she's not asexual, just forgetting what heterosexuality was, I just found that absolutely hilarious. And you know, and then obviously I just found, you know, like, when I was relating back to my friends in work, you know, when my friend was saying about the fact basically she felt outnumbered, that's what she was saying, because there was gay and asexual, and she was only a heterosexual, so she's kind of outnumbered. And I just think you've got to at times just look at the small things in life, and when you take something and you find it really hilarious, and it's probably a bit more hilarious than it might normally be, because maybe some of the other stuff in your life's not going quite well, you've had quite a lot of negative, or some things are not going quite nice, you know, when you find something funny, sometimes it can amplify the humor in it, you know. You can think, oh, it's really, really funny, because you haven't laughed in a while, and it kind of like makes the mood really light-hearted, and it makes you just feel good again, you know, just like so humorous. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please hit the great big subscribe button now. Hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live, like now, or post a new video. Don't forget to share this video with any friends or anyone you think may benefit from it. And thank you for the thumbs up, as always. I love them. Keep them coming. Thank you, Heather. Oh, thank you, Heather. Yeah, I'm glad that I can do them again. Good night, Andy, and good night, Michael. Been a pleasure to see you all. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for tuning in, and take care. Love you all. Bye.